He doesn't belong here. That's how it started, sharp, ugly words that cracked through a quiet street like a whip. And they didn't come from some stranger passing through, but from a woman who lived 3 doors down with her perfect lawn, her flagpole mailbox, and her little neighborhood watch sticker on the garage. Across the street, a man stood, frozen wrists already pulled behind his back, the cuffs biting into skin that had carried far heavier weight in life. His name was David Carter. 6'3", broad-shouldered tattoos running down his arms like a battlefield of inked memories. But he didn't fight, didn't yell, didn't resist. He just stood there, calm but hollow, as if the only thing keeping him steady was discipline learned long ago. The officers flanking him didn't notice the small, blonde-haired girl clinging to his side, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. "Please don't take him. He's my dad, please." Her voice cracked against the hot August air, but no one moved. Not the cops, not the neighbors sipping coffee from their driveways, not even the woman who made the call. Caroline Myers. She stood on her porch, hair wild-face flushed, finger pointed like she'd just caught a monster. That man does not belong with that little girl. He's dangerous. 3 hours later, Caroline would be on her knees in a hospital hallway begging that same man to save her son's life. But right then, she was sure she was right. David had moved into Willow Creek only a few days earlier. A quiet suburb cul-de-sacs lined with white fences, SUVs shining in the driveways. He hadn't come for prestige. He'd come for two simple reasons. The school district was the best in the county, and the children's hospital, his hospital, was just 15 minutes away. That mattered when your phone could ring at any moment. "Dr. Carter, trauma incoming. A child needs you." That morning, his daughter Lily woke up early. She'd drawn a picture, a crooked little house with stick figures and sunshine, and insisted they bake cookies for the neighbors. "People like cookies, Daddy, and I want to make friends." He smiled, agreed, and by noon their kitchen smelled like chocolate and home. Together they packed the cookies, the drawing a card that read, "We're the Carter family. Nice to meet you." Lily was still wearing her paint-stained apron when she skipped down the sidewalk holding her father's hand. That's when Caroline spotted them from her window. The dark skin, the tattoos, the big frame, and that little blonde girl. Her hand was already on the phone before she even realized she dialed. 911, she said breathlessly. "There's a black man walking with a little white girl." She looked scared. "I think he might be trafficking her." By the time David and Lily rang her bell, she'd already decided the story. She cracked the door with the chain still on. "Hi there, David," said calm and warm. "We're new to the neighborhood, thought we'd bring cookies," Lily chirped. "I made them myself." "Don't worry, no peanuts." She grinned, holding out the basket. Caroline didn't laugh, didn't even smile. Her eyes darted between them. "Is she your daughter?" "Yes," David said firmly. "Biologically?" He answered softly. "I adopted her when she was 2, Lily beamed. "Daddy does silly voices when he reads me stories." The door shut halfway. "I don't take food from strangers. I'd appreciate if you stayed on your side of the street." The rejection stung. Lily blinked up at him, confused. "Did we do something wrong?" David squeezed her shoulder gently. "No, sweetheart. Some people just need more time." But Caroline didn't need time. She needed validation. And within the hour, she was whispering into the ears of her friends, fueling suspicion with half-truths and fear. 2 days later, as David set up a lemonade stand with Lily's squad cars pulled up, lights flashing, no sirens. "Sir," an officer said, "we got a report of a suspicious activity involving a minor." David raised his hands calmly. "My name is Dr. David Carter. This is my daughter. I have paperwork in my wallet." "Turn around," the cuffs clicked. "Shut." Lily screamed until her voice cracked. "He's my dad. Please don't take him." But Caroline stood nearby, arms crossed, watching with smug conviction. Neighbors filmed. Some whispered. No one intervened, except for Mrs. Jenkins, an elderly neighbor sitting on her porch, quietly recording the entire thing. What nobody knew, not even the officers, was that the tattoos etched on David's skin weren't rebellion. They were remembrance. Dog tags for fallen brothers, footprints of a little boy he couldn't save on an operating table, a combat medic insignia from Afghanistan. Each line was a story, each scar a vow. One tattoo, the name Jacob, belonged to a soldier who died in his arms, whispering, "Promise me, don't let my little girl grow up alone." 2 months later, David found that little girl in foster care. Her name was Lily. He never hesitated. For her, he had traded war zones for bedtime stories, trauma tents for school drop-offs. He was her father in every way that mattered. But all Caroline saw was danger in the shape of a man she couldn't understand. It didn't stop with one call. She began a full campaign, binoculars from her window notes in a blue notebook she titled Neighborhood Safety Log. She snapped pictures of David braiding Lily's hair on the porch, helping with a science project, walking her to school. Moments of love twisted into evidence. She even marched into the school office, dumping her photos on the principal's desk. This man isn't who he says he is. He's not her real father. He's covered in tattoos. Are we really going to risk a child's safety? Parents started whispering. Invitations to Lily's playdates dried up. At the pool, the manager asked David to prove he lived there, papers, ID, everything, in front of dozens of staring eyes. Lily whispered, "Why do they ask you for papers, Daddy, like in the stories about when people weren't free?" He couldn't even answer. Something cracked inside him that day. Carolyn wasn't done. Weeks later, she called CPS. "This is Caroline Myers, Neighborhood Watch Coordinator. I've observed inappropriate behavior between a tattooed man and a little girl who doesn't appear related. Someone needs to investigate." The knock came one Tuesday morning, a woman in a Navy blazer, badge in hand. "Dr. Carter, I'm with Child Protective Services. We've received a report." David knelt beside his daughter. "Sweetheart, go brush your teeth. You didn't do anything wrong." The inspection was clinical photos of the kitchen, smoke detectors, adoption papers, military record, custody orders, and finally an interview with Lily. "Do you feel safe here?" "Yes." "Does anyone hurt you?" "No." "What do you and your dad do together?" She smiled. "He makes pancakes shaped like stars and tells me my tattoos aren't scary because they're stories." 2 hours later, the agent closed her file. "Your home is warm, safe, and loving. I'll be closing this case." Before leaving, she added softly, "This wasn't made in good faith. It was made in fear. And fear is dangerous." David exhaled, but he knew Caroline wouldn't stop. Iron wouldn't stop, and she didn't. That Saturday morning, he was teaching Lily how to change a tire, real-world skills. She wore oversized goggles and gloves, giggling as she struggled with the wrench. From across the street, Caroline watched, phone in hand. 911, "I've reported him before. Now he's teaching a little girl how to tamper with vehicles. You need to come now." Moments later, sirens cut through the calm. 2 patrol cars rolled in. Neighbors poured out with their phones. Officers barked orders, "Step away from the child." "Hands on your head." Lily clung to him, screaming, "He's my daddy." He didn't do anything, but the cuffs closed again, right there in the driveway. Carolyn waved a manila folder like a victory flag. "See, I've been documenting him for weeks. This is textbook grooming behavior." What she didn't know was that across town, her own son Ethan was collapsing on a soccer field. Cardiac arrest, blue lips, convulsions, paramedics shouting, "We're losing him." And when the ER team prepped for surgery, one nurse said the words that froze the room. "Where's Dr. Carter?" He's the only pediatric cardiac surgeon on call. But Dr. Carter was sitting in a holding cell. When the police captain stormed in 15 minutes later, folder in hand, his face was pale. "You're being released now. There's a child dying, and you're the only one who can save him." David didn't ask who. He just asked for the chart. By the time he walked through the hospital doors, gloves on, mask pulled tight, he finally saw her. Carolyn collapsed on the floor, mascara streaked, begging through sobs, "Please, it's my son. I didn't know. He didn't answer. He pushed through the double doors. 90 minutes later, Ethan was stable, alive, heart beating strong. David stepped out, exhausted but steady. He didn't gloat, didn't point fingers. He simply returned to his daughter, who threw her arms around him like he was the only safe place left in the world. The fallout came fast. The video of his arrest filmed by Mrs. Jenkins went viral. Doctor arrested in front of daughter for being black in a white zip code. Millions of views overnight. News outlets replayed footage of him walking into surgery to save the son of the very woman who tried to destroy him. Caroline lost everything. Her HOA role, her real estate job, her license. Her neighbors turned silent. She became a pariah in the very community she thought she was protecting. And David, he pressed no charges. When asked if he wanted revenge, he shook his head. Instead, he proposed something else. Carolyn would issue a public apology, enroll in empathy training, and perform 6 months of community service at the Children's Hospital. Justice, he said simply, isn't just punishment, it's restoration. Carolyn resisted, but with nothing left, she showed up in scrubs at the pediatric floor, sweeping, emptying bedpans, sitting with mothers whose children were fighting cancer. She was quiet now, softer, cracked open by consequence. Months later, she sent David a letter. I thought I was protecting children, but I was the danger. You didn't just save Ethan. You saved me from becoming someone I couldn't live with. A year later at Lily's school dance, David spun her across the gym floor while she giggled. Not too fast, Daddy. And then Ethan, healthy, bright-eyed, ran up and hugged him tight. You're my hero, the boy whispered. From across the room, Carolyn watched silently, tears slipping down her face. Not from guilt this time, but from something else, recognition. That family wasn't about color or biology. It was about love, messy and loud and stubborn. And that's where this story leaves us. A man falsely accused a child, nearly lost a community, forced to see itself in a mirror it didn't like. So let me ask you, what do you think was justice served? Or was this just another story of a man forced to prove his worth in a world too blind to see it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because justice, friends, doesn't just live in courtrooms. It lives in us whether we let fear speak louder than truth.